No, but I'll
Somali.
bet money on it right now. We're gonna have another dictatorship in 2 years. I'll put money on that as a political science student because nothing's changed on the ground. Who's still like the last? Well, you can look at history first. Like we had independence 1956, right? 2 years democracy, dictator. Okay, dictator went away. 2 years democracy, another dictator.
It was
for
always
20
two
years.
apiece.
Yeah,
2 year piece.
bro, we've not exceeded 6.5 years of democracy since 1956. You know, even Omar Bashir came right after Nimeri, right? You know the name Nimeri.
No.
Well, he was the dictator who held the country for 20 years, did a bunch of crazy
Was
shit.
he worse
changed.
than Bashir?
Nah, he was better than Bashir, but everyone was still on the street protesting Nimeri.
Gotcha.
You know, like my parents
So
left.
is that how he ended up getting out?
Well, he kind of went crazy. He's the one who like changed their flag to like the Arab colors and stuff. Like he went kind of senile and he went like super Islamic in the end. Like at first he was a bit more liberal.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of his reign, he started the whole Sharia law thing, like trying to Arabize.
Oh,
we call
he
it
brought in
Arabize.
Sharia law.
Yeah.
And then Bashir kept it.
There was another democracy in the middle.
Yeah,
then
for 2 years.
Exactly, pretty much. I'm not sure of the number. It's either a year and a half, 2 years.
So there's no Sharia law for these transitional periods.
I don't even
and then
know
they
if
come back
they
and they
came
go
back
full
the
Sharia.
Islamists, exactly. So it's actually getting worse if you trace it. And then even now, if you look at like the strongest entities in Sudan, it's not Hamdouk. Hamdouk's my uncle, by the way.
Hamdouk, I thought it was a transitional council that's
It
supposed
is.
to.
That's half military, half civilian. But
But-
the civilians don't have any power.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Like who went to meet Israel on Sudan's behalf? Burhan, who's one of the military like parts of.
I don't follow Canadian politics, Sudani politics, any politics.
Sudan's a write-off. The
Yeah.
short story of it, like, I'm sorry to say this, I wish I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Like, I actually started a charity during the revolution. I was one of the ones who was organizing those marches at downtown, like Nathan Phillips and all
Damn,
that.
my guy can't stop organizing events.
See?
You
I was on
couldn't stop if
CTV
you
in
wanted.
French and everything.
Yeah.
My French was horrible,
Yeah.
but they're like, hey, black kid speaks French. This will be good for the news.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
But I was really for the revolution, but like if you look at just like the idea of like where stuff is going, it's not going like anywhere productive. You know what I mean? Even like I can tell you this as like my uncle was just the minister of energy. He just resigned. The minister of health was my uncle Akram. He just resigned.
They're all your uncles?
Like basically it's like a closed group. Hamdouk like went to school, my dad, for like 12 years in Sudan and in Manchester.
Yeah.
And then all of his friends, he just picked them to be ministers pretty much. So,
Gotcha.
And
So they all step down because they see
'Cause
like
nothing's
violence
getting
coming,
done.
or they see
But there is violence coming. Someone
Yeah.
tried to kill Hamdouk already. There was a car bomb.
really.
But nothing gets done. Like my uncle, they're like expecting him to make the electricity work. But how when there's no money coming into like we don't have any exports.
At all?
That's Sudan's problem. Sudan has zero exports. That's why
I thought we have a crazy amount of sugar and stuff like that.
we have like barsim, which is like camel food, and like sesame seeds, but nothing that will like
What's the main resource of Sudan?
probably gold and
Exportable.
oil, but they go missing. The oil is
Oh,
like
they're still captured by some families that
yeah,
are like...
exactly. Like the biggest hill, like they call it Jabal.
Come a little closer.
I'm trying to remember the name of it in Arabic, but
Yeah.
it's like the mountain where like the main gold mine is, and it's literally owned by Hameti, who's one of like the military guys who's probably gonna be like our next dictator. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And then there's like 60 tons of gold that goes missing annually from our exports.
60 tons?
Yeah, like these military guys. I don't know if they sell it on the side. You'd have to ask someone who knows more than I do. But like they sell it on the side. They keep it for themselves. No one really knows what happens. And then with the oil, we have a dispute with the South. So like the oil,
Because the South has the oil and the
It's
North
on the
has the
border.
capability of
pretty much.
mining it.
Exactly.
Right?
The pipelines.
Yeah.
But the oil's on the border. Like our border.
So they're
with
like, who does it belong to?
Exactly. We actually just made our first opened the border with South Sudan 2 days ago. For the first time since 2011 when they got like freedom of movement, export, all of that.
Really?
Yeah, that just happened 2 days ago.
What was the like a treaty went like? Has there been many treaty attempts for a while?
Yeah, kind of. Usually they use like the South as a place to meet other people. The South has its own civil war, which is like its own issue, right?
Yeah, but now they're self-governed, which is
They're self-governed, but they have a separate civil war happening in South Sudan.
since the splitting.
Yes, it's like the
Really?
Nuer and the Denka. It's kind of like a tribal war.
Yeah.
So like basically Juba's a huge refugee camp. It's just like I think
That's
they got like 3 times the population since separation. I don't know what you call it.
Why is it that, like, in your opinion, as you know, like someone who's obviously following this, and someone who's studied and has some interest in politics, why do you think that? I don't want to say regime, but why do you think that country just can't sustain democracy? Is it because people...
External actors are part of it, and then like historical mismanagement is the other side. You know what I mean? Like, let's say today all the military disappears and we can start a democracy. We need to start exporting something, so money's coming in the country, and that way our inflation just doesn't keep, tripling and tripling, right? And on top of that, we have to fix the infrastructure. Like, most roads aren't paved, schools are falling apart, electricity goes out every day, stuff like that, And then I guess then you have to create opportunities for people. They say there's like 5 pillars of democracy. So it's like tolerance for opposition, infrastructure, education, stuff like that, And then we need to build that base, which would probably take 10, 15 years. And then maybe we could get somewhere as a country. But as it stands, the military owns everything. You know what I mean? Any system that works...
And this has been the case since Bashir, even since
pretty much.
Before him.
Yeah, exactly.
Namir guy? What's his name? Nimeri. He came into military power as well?
I don't know how he had to. It had to be a coup, right?
Gotcha.
An elected dictator. And then before him, there was Abbas, who only held for 3 years. They just get progressively worse. Like, people protested Abbas. Then when he fell, Nimeri came, and they're like, oh, shit. Abbas was way better. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And then Bashir came?
Then they protested Nimeri for 20 years. He left. They're like, oh, fuck. Now Bashir is even worse, The whole issue is we have no exports. Like, I'm telling you, everything is just like, I don't know how the money like is even working. They just print money.
It's under the rug theft.
Exactly. They just print money, and there's nothing to back up the money. There's no money in the banks. There's no US dollars in the bank, anything like that. They're just printing money. People use the money. So of course, since everything's being imported, the cost of stuff has to go up because the currency is not backed.
It's just like a terrible cycle.
Exactly. It's just like a horrible. And then on top of that, there's like Egypt. There's Saudi Arabia, there's Qatar. They want Sudan to be like weak. You know what I mean? Because they have like farms and different like vested interests in Sudan. Like,
really?
Like
that they own the land?
Yeah, they have like 99-year leases on like huge areas. I'm pretty sure Qatar, between Ethiopia and Sudan, owns more land than Qatar itself.
Wait, repeat that?
Like, between Ethiopia and Sudan, Qatar owns more land in those two countries than the size of Qatar itself.
Which isn't much, though. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, but it's like the idea of them being self-sufficient. So they come to Ethiopia and Sudan.
But are they doing something resourceful? Is it doing something lucrative out of their space?
Yeah, they just farm. They take the food back to Qatar, Saudi, UAE, and then they're self-sustainable, right?
Oh.
But then
they just got little remote projects in other countries.
And they want the dictator, because only a dictator will give you a 99-year lease to another country. You know?
Are these all leases that that got written in place with Bashir? Or
they're all Bashir agreements. Bashir used to go to Qatar and they'd just give him $1 million, $2 million, $1 billion. They'd say it's for fixing Darfur, but he's the source of the issue in Darfur, right? So Sudan's like, I'm telling you, when you said it's not Afghanistan or Somalia, we're in that class, brother. It's like us, Libya, Syria. These are the countries that are like in that range. Venezuela.